football list tonight, guys. It's party time down here. We got Wadey. We got Kenny Wilson. Great Scott, it is really Kenny Wilson with a brand new hairstyle. Check it out right now. Up. Welcome, everyone. Oh, yes, we're around the world, all over the place. Madagascar, Bangladesh, wherever you want to be around the world, you're watching football is. Huh? And the USA and England, that is. Hey! The cup of life, this is the one. Now is the time, don't ever stop. We should've known, gotta be strong. We should've known, right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet. No one can hold you back if you really want it, Wadey. Is that right? I see it in your eyes. You want the cup of life, Kenny? Of course you do. You told us about the plate before anyway. That's just about a cup anyway. Here we go. Do you really want it? Welcome, everyone. It's our way, the highway. It's Footballers Night tonight, guys. It's our way, the highway, of course. In this show, Footballers, it is our way in the highway. Welcome, Paul Wade. Welcome to Footballers. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Harry.
The crowd has lost it. The crowd's lost it. The crowd. Of course, Kenny Wilson. Great Scott, it's him. And of course, Kenny, I had to look at you the second time tonight. Say, is it really Kenny? It's somebody different tonight. I can imagine everybody actually commenting during the show. You watch this tonight, mate.
After Melbourne last week, I got inspired by Wadey. I thought, that's got to go.
Oh my God! Welcome to Football List, guys. And I tell you what, last week's show, or 2 week show, we had to have a break last week because of the editing and time and doing things. We'd like to thank our sponsors at Brunswick City, of course, WIT Protection Services, Soccer Pro Academy, CC Lawyers, the lawyers of companies not in tonight. There is only one football, Barista, Arrow Sports, and of course our major sponsor who made this thing happen big time, PCNFS Logistics, Paul Petrovsky. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. And of course, a lot of them are watching tonight too. Wadey, let me just say one thing about last week, 2 weeks ago nearly, at Brunswick City Soccer Club. Did you enjoy that? Of course you did.
I did. Do you know what I enjoyed most? Chatting to people who knew all the stuff back in the day. Like, I scored a goal against Apia, and it was from outside the 18-yard box, and somebody remembered the goal that I scored. And I thought to myself, that's what I miss. People, and there were hundreds of them who go, oh, I remember this and remember that. And I thought, yeah, they were good times, and everybody really appreciated it. I loved it. It was like going back to the future.
You know, the one thing I after the show, Kenny, you know what Wadey did? Photographs, autographs, young kids coming up to you having and the picture of Maradona's. They're holding up Maradona's, and I guess what happened? I said, they're taking away the food off the plate. You haven't eaten anything. And I said to Louis, Louis, please. Can you get Wade? He said, oh, yeah, I'll get him. He got the souvlaki and everything and a beer, and then you went out there and watched the game. That was fantastic. That was really good of him. So that's fantastic for Louis to do that. Now, Kenny, how did you feel that night, mate, being there? They looked after us. It was fantastic. The food was beautiful.
Mate, Louis, the club were fantastic. They were wonderful hosts. And I've got to say, I had 2.5 days, wonderful trip to Melbourne. King Kenny Taylor picked me up, took me for a sensational lunch, and then obviously Kenny came and joined us at the show, on the show. So thanks, Kenny. I had a wonderful time. Thanks to Jack Zervos and Elise for booking me into my hotel.
Fantastic.
In an invalid room, which was quite funny. You know, when I arrived at reception, I was wondering why they asked me, did I need any assistance to get to my bed, to get to the room?
Really?
And I'm thinking, why?
VIP treatment?
They I just realised that Elise had booked me into an invalid room. So when I got in there... Oh, my
God.
Mate, honest to God, this room, we could have played six-a-side in there. It was sensational. Absolutely. I had the biggest TV. I had the biggest room. So just a tip, guys, if you want a really good room with a big... Just pretend, or just limp, just pretend that you've got some sort of affliction and get one of the good rooms. But anyway, moving forward, I had a great 2.5 days, wonderful time in Melbourne, and it was the hospitality from the guys were terrific. The food was great, and it was good to catch up and see people, you know, and it was great. Joe Spiteri was great value
fantastic.
too. Obviously, Wadey was great. And yeah, it was just a really, really nice night and a wonderful time.
And of course you met our technicians. We have 2 girls there. They did a fantastic job. It was of course, I forgot their name. I'm losing it, guys. There's much work I've done. Of course, it was Sarah and, of course, Isabel as well. Fantastic work they did there. They were doing the chopping and changing of the videos and everything, cutting in, cutting out. When Wadey, you were actually, as soon as you talked about what was on screen, she cut straight to it, and it was just amazing. She was so professional at what she did. So that was really good. So tonight we've got a few things to talk about, actually. And I tell you what, I spoke to you, Wadey, about this earlier, and I said this has become a... Look, I spoke to Kenny about that earlier too, and I said to myself, there's got to be some way out of this. The supporter groups are starting. Look, we go back last year or the year before when something happened to Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City, that game, and Kenny, we spoke about that earlier. And the thing is, they've now disbanded the North Terrace. North Terrace is gone. Wadey, this is the main supporter group of Melbourne Victory. And we're talking about these guys being behind the goals, chanting like if you're in England and the chanting and everything. Where have we gone wrong with this? Where have we gone wrong? And it's really Football Australia who actually called this out, not the A-League Football Australia. So it must be something, and there's been a lot of problems in Melbourne and the NPL too with Melbourne Victory. So where have we gone wrong, Wadey, with this stuff?
Where have the boys behind the goal gone wrong? I don't think it's the game at all. I don't think it's you, the commentators. We can complain about it only being on pay TV. We can do all these sorts of things. But what about self-governance? Uh-huh. What about Football Australia saying, well, you know what, enough is enough? And let me make this quite clear. And I've just watched this because of what we talked about, what we were going to talk about tonight. I watched the semi-final of the A-League when it was Brisbane Roar versus Western Sydney Wanderers at the Parramatta Stadium. Oh, yeah. Western Sydney Wanderers won 5-4. They were 3-0 down at half-time. And just to watch the crowd, and I was there commentating for ABC Radio, so I know the atmosphere. It was absolute. The whole place was shaking, but they were singing songs like the whole stadium was singing the same song at the same time. And Debbie Spillane was on the touchline. Now, if you know Debbie Spillane, she's been there, done that with sport. She was one of the first commentators went on the rugby league. She's done everything. And she said she's never known an atmosphere like it. It said it was incredible. And so I'm thinking, well, the RBB, Red and Black Block, or whatever you want to call it, the Den, or I don't know, whatever football club yours is, they are a vital part of football. It's very, very special. Nobody, the AFL can't reproduce it, the Rugby League, the Rugby Union, nobody comes close to what those fans behind the goal do for a game of football. But, and this is the biggest thing, we are not going to put up with, even if it's three of you giving the reputation or the feel that it's a horrible thing to go to an A-League game. I don't care who you are and what you've done. If you're going to cause trouble, if it means we have to kick all of you out, then it's got to be done. You know, it really does. And I know that's harsh and I know that's sad, but I'm over them. I'm not feeling sorry for them at all. Get out. And if you don't want to get out, solve the problem yourself. You know, go and find out who the 4 or 5 people causing the trouble are. You govern it.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time. Do you have what it takes to become a soccer superstar? Look no further than Soccer Pro Academy. Led by experienced coaches, including a former Socceroo, the Academy provides world-class training to help you reach your full potential. From technical skills to tactical awareness, they'll help you develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed at the highest level. Soccer Pro Academy, where champions are made.
Are you looking for the perfect kit for your football club? Try Arrow Sport today. From jerseys to shorts to socks, Arrow Sport will have you completely covered. We can even cover your merchandising line, including hats, beanies, scarves, jumpers, and so much more. So if you're looking for excellent lead times, great pricing, and even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au. And even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au.
Looking for a haven to unwind and indulge? Look no further than Brista Cafe, nestled in the heart of Derrimut Village Shopping Centre. From decadent homemade gourmet cookies to scrumptious muffins, every bite is a delight. Everyone loves Brista Cafe, and you will too. So why wait? Visit Brista Cafe today and taste the difference for yourself.
Hi guys, Harry Sundai here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called There Is Only One Football.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time.
Let me say, Kenny, and of course, thank you, Wadey, for that was amazing. But the thing is about this too, it's not all of them. It's like you said, Wadey, and of course, Kenny, to say out there that it's you're going to punish every one of them, and you're talking about parents, kids here that are part of that. I mean, I don't understand how Football Australia can actually get rid of all of them. I mean, there's got to be some kind of way they can weed these guys out. Kenny, I can understand that, but you're punishing other people.
Harry, Wadey summed it up. Self-governance. Yes. It's not the FA's job to police the clubs. The clubs know who these people are. Let's not fool anyone. The clubs know, and it's a small component, maybe 5%. But man, I was fortunate, in my life. I played signed for Glasgow Rangers. Man, there's not a bigger derby game in the world than Rangers and Celtic. Bar none. If you've gone to one, and anyone that's gone to one, even all my best mates, my Liverpool mates, they've gone to a Rangers Celtic game and said, mate, better than Barcelona, Real Madrid. Nothing beats it, right? The atmosphere is incredible. Now, and it can be electric, it can be, the tension, the singing, but what you can't do is when you've got kids there, start throwing flares from the back of a stand. Because, and these people would say, but it creates atmosphere. Nonsense. What if it hits your kid in the back of the head? I mean, how they can think, and they say, they do it in South America. Well, maybe they do, but there's no place for it in our game. We've got young kids, families going to the game, and they get petrified. I mean, that Melbourne victory, Melbourne City, was an absolute disgrace. And what Wadey said, the clubs know who these people are. Just like City Croatia when it happened in City United, they know who these people are. But they just got the gumption to say, you're banned. Finished, don't come near the club.
The thing is, Wadey, let's go back to the NSL when you played in the NSL, of course, down at, Middle Park, of course, down there, and, of course, after going to Lakeside Stadium. I can remember right at the back of the supporter groups holding up the flares. Remember those days? Holding up they weren't throwing them or holding them up. They weren't throwing them. They were holding them up in those days. They didn't care. Nobody cared about it because all they did was copy what they saw in Europe, in every game in Europe, whatever association it is they're playing in. They were holding them up. I never seen them throw them at that time. This time they're throwing them. What's the point?
Yeah, it's really sad, isn't it? Absolutely. But you know what, Kenny, I don't know about you, but I do like the flares. I don't mind them, but I want them controlled. So put them, when you watch the rugby league and all the fireworks go off and all the flames shooting out when something amazing happens. I don't mind the flares as long as they are in an area where nobody gets hurt and everyone can breathe properly. I don't mind it. I think it does bring a little bit to it. But, yeah, you're right. When they start throwing them, when they start putting them next to people who don't want them there, that's a problem.
Throwing them, Kenny, that's what they do. They're throwing them in the old days.
1 second.
No worries. But we'll get Kenny back in a second.
He's had enough.
He's going to bring something out. He's going to bring something out. I think he's going to bring something out.
He's not going to bring a flare out, please.
I hope he doesn't bring a flare out. We're watching here. This is historic if he brings it out a flare. But let me just say one thing about this. Probably we're going to talk to Kenny when he comes back. We're talking about the NSL here. The supporters groups were very different. They were holding up flags and things. But what I'm going to say is you're talking about at that time very different. I mean, we didn't have very many security either. Why did we have no security? Where was the security? We had a lot of police, but we didn't have security. It was more police there than security. It's gone the other way around where there's more security but less police. It's a different situation now. I mean, it was different.
Yeah. I think there's more at stake now, Harry, to tell you the truth, only because we were part-time footballers. We had jobs to go to. Even the president and, George Vasilopoulos, he had a job to go to. So it was a different world then. It wasn't the end of the world. We all had lives to go back to. Now, it is their livelihood. That's it. Whatever happens, and the impact is felt across their whole family and their whole future, and that's the difference.
Kenny, when you were playing at Olympic, of course, you had your own supporters groups and everything. I mean, I saw the stuff that was going on at Middle Park. As I said, they weren't throwing flares at that time. They weren't doing nothing. Like, they were holding them in their hands and everything. But this time, they're using them like as if some kind of weapon or something, trying to hit someone. We know what happened last year. But what were the days at Olympic when you were there? The big crowd, there would have been flares at Olympic at some time at least,
Yeah, I've got to be honest. At Sydney Olympia, I don't recollect any. I only noticed them starting to come to fruition. Actually, locally here, I went to a Manly United NPL game, and they've got AstroTurf.
Yes,
and I think it was Sydney United was playing Manly, and they threw some flares from behind the goals. Now, the flares landed on the AstroTurf.
Oh, no.
And burnt all the turf. And it cost about $30,000 or $40,000 to replace the turf.
That's flammable. That's flammable.
So, yeah, of course. But, I look, it's a very South American thing. It's certainly not a British thing. You don't see flares in Britain. You don't see it in the Premier League. You don't see it in Scotland. And that's not to say that, what we do is right. But I just find that we now have young families getting introduced to the game. I suppose we're far more corporate now. And it's not back in the days when we used to have standing, whenever it wasn't all seating back in the days. So the game has changed. But when I see it and I see these idiots are allowed to actually come into it's a weapon.
It is.
It's a weapon. You like it. You stick that in someone's face. So, you've got to weigh it up. And I don't think, just my personal opinion, I don't think it's needed. You look at Liverpool and you look at, all the big clubs, Rangers, Celtic, Real Madrid, majority of them, the singing and the atmosphere and the waving, and I think that's enough to get the passion running. But with this sort of stuff raising its ugly head all the time, and I'm with Wadey. Why is it FA's job to be the? I get it, they run the league, but they're not a sports policeman. It's got to be induced. The clubs themselves have got to control these people, ban them, see you later. And once they do that, we'll get rid of it. But unfortunately, that, and we're only talking, we're not talking about a lot of people. We're probably talking, 50 or 60 a year.
Yes.
It's not like thousands. And unfortunately, we've got a situation where until that happens, the FA look like the bad guys, which is unfair.
There's been a lot of...
Can I just say,
yes.
Just on that, Harry, why do we need these people that we're banning? Why are we not getting new recruits in? Why are we not letting kids in under 12 for free? And they can go behind and they can create their own atmosphere. Like it might be in Sydney, it might be, I don't know, the Manly Association. It's their turn to be the fans behind the goal. They're just wild ideas. They're coming off the top of my head now. But create a new COP. As you know, Kenny, there's nothing like a COP, is there?
No,
so, so let's get a new crop. Why are we waiting on these people to decide whether they find or don't find the people who are causing the trouble? Get out and start creating a new one.
They're just going back to me. They're going back to that day at Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory. I mean, they knew from that time. Why didn't they do something at that time? Did they have to wait this long as well? How many years ago was that? But that's what I'll say. But what I don't like is people have been talking. Why are we being punished? Old people there who are part of it, and it's a great atmosphere, and they're being punished. So why should we be punished? This is not right. Get rid of the other guys. But this is the thing. You're actually provoking, Kenny, you're provoking the people who've come there, try and create an atmosphere, beautiful atmosphere, drums and things and chanting. How do they even get these things in the stadiums? I don't even know. How do they get them in? They're checking everybody with of course, they're checking everybody with the metal detectors and everything. Where are they putting them? Where are they, Kenny? Where are they getting them from?
When I was commentating for ABC Radio, we used to get there 2 hours before the game just to prepare and make sure we knew the teams and all the stats and all the mics worked and all that. And even before we arrived, you could see the cops with sniffer dogs walking up and down the seats. Just find where are those flares. And they just could not, for the life of them, work out how there was talk about them being shoved down the toilet a couple of days before the game. There were all sorts of innuendo about how and where it was coming in, on people's bodies in areas that you couldn't be searched, all sorts of things like that. But nobody ever found them. So it's not as if it's a problem that's just occurred. It's been going on for years.
And that's the thing. So hopefully we can see some peace and quiet at the games and hear the nice things and everything. And hopefully, guys, the finals are coming.
We don't want peace and quiet.
We want the peace.
What we're talking about is just getting these idiots.
Yes.
That are probably have got no real interest in the team anyway.
No, they're
just there to cause trouble, And once they cut that cancer out of that, and again we'll highlight, it's not a lot of people. I'm telling you, it's not a lot.
It's only a few.
Western Sydney Wanderers have got a few.
Oh boy.
Melbourne Victory have got a few. Each club has probably got a few. And we just got to, as I suppose, together, the clubs have got to say enough is enough. Enough is enough.
It had to be Football Australia to come across and do this now.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time. Do you have what it takes to become a soccer superstar? Look no further than Soccer Pro Academy. Led by experienced coaches, including a former Socceroo, the Academy provides world-class training to help you reach your full potential. From From technical skills to tactical awareness, they'll help you develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed at the highest level. Soccer Pro Academy, where champions are made.
Are you looking for the perfect kit for your football club? Try Arrow Sport today. From jerseys to shorts to socks, Arrow Sport will have you completely covered. We can even cover your merchandising line, including hats, beanies, scarves, jumpers, and so much more. So if you're looking for excellent lead times, great pricing, and even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au. And even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au.
Looking for a haven to unwind and indulge? Look no further than Brista Cafe, nestled in the heart of Derrimut Village Shopping Centre. From decadent homemade gourmet cookies to scrumptious muffins, every bite is a delight. Everyone loves Brista Cafe, and you will too. So why wait? Visit Brista Cafe today and taste the difference for yourself.
Hi guys, Harry Sundai here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called ThereIsOnlyOneFootball.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time.
I want to change to something very different. Now, everyone out there is now sort of like the change of weather, whether it's the NPL, whether it's, of course, the A-League's going to be finishing in a few weeks' time. Of course, the finals are coming up. But I just want to say something about a lot of people speaking to me about the times, how we're changing the times and how we're getting to the games, at what time to watch the game. I just want to say one thing to everyone out there. In the old days, there was no YouTube. There was no lights. It was 3:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday. You could go to any ground of course, we're not talking here NPL. We're talking here, of course, the Victorian State League Soccer. And if you remember the name Victorian State League Soccer, that's what we used to be called before the NPL. And of course, in Sydney, the same thing. There was no lights. There was no YouTube. And speaking to this guy saying, well, they've spoilt the clubs by putting lights up. They've spoilt the clubs by having YouTube. People don't want to go to the games anymore during the winter. I can remember myself going in the middle of winter to down at Middle Park there, and my God, there was souvlaki's there. There was everything happening. It was daylight. It was more like a carnival going during the day. Here we are going on at night time on the dreary nights of freezing Melbourne. Can we go back to the old days and get rid of these lights? Wadey, sorry, you know those days. We don't want to see this stuff. And the thing is, we've spoilt the clubs. The councils have spoilt the clubs. We'll build your lights. We'll do this. We'll do that. Wadey, is it about time that we went back to the future, the old days, and say, hang on, why are we going to these bloody below zero games? And now, because of that, YouTube... Oh, we don't have to go anymore. And an official from Sydney said from NPL New South Wales said, oh, we're getting record crowds watching the game on YouTube. Hang on. Wouldn't you like to see them at the games rather than watching YouTube, Wadey? What do you think of that?
Yeah. You know what? We haven't got the FOMO, really, have we? That fear of missing out. Because I think that's what people go to the AFL and the Rugby League and all these other codes of football that are doing so well. I want to be a part of that, because if I'm not there, everyone's going to be talking about it on Monday at the water cooler. We just haven't got that. And I don't blame YouTube. I don't blame the lights. I just think we just haven't got that fear of missing out factor. How we get that, I've been to the AFL, right?
Yes.
I grew up in Melbourne. I'm a Richmond supporter.
Oh,
I
gee.
loved 3 out of 4 years. We won so many things. But I went to watch Hawthorn versus Geelong. Hawthorn versus Geelong. And it wasn't the one just gone. And I sat there. I was on the second tier at the MCG. And I'm shouting, ball, boo, all that sort of stuff. I was really into it, and partly because the crowd were, but partly because I'd seen it on the TV. This was my chance to be a part of something. Do you know what I mean? And it was good, and nobody got offended. I didn't swear or anything. I just, you're kidding me. Yeah, it was just drama. It wasn't about the game. The game was crap, but it was just being a part of the theatre. It was beautiful.
It was amazing. So Kenny, the old days, I think we've spoilt the clubs. YouTube, I mean, every game is live. People don't go anywhere anymore.
Hand on heart, I can proudly say I've never watched a live game on YouTube.
There you go.
And I keep saying it. I keep saying it. You know, we've got a lot of fair weather supporters in this country. You know, I keep mentioning, and I use Sydney FC as an example. You know, they've got 14 or 15,000 home fans on average, maybe more. When they were sitting fourth in the league and Central Coast Mariners were second in the league, I was at a guest of the Mariners. Now, it's probably a 45, 50-minute car ride up the freeway, or you can get the train, and you can get the express train up there. I reckon you were lucky that day the crowd was at 7,500. You were lucky if there was 600 Sydney FC fans. They're no real fans to me. They don't, you know, if you're in the UK, you go home within reason. I mean, obviously, we've got restrictions in the A-League. You can't go to Adelaide and Melbourne. But certainly, you know, you'd go to the Newcastle game, the Wanderers game, MacArthur game. You know, they games, all your fans should be attending, predominantly. But they just go to the home games. Well, that's no real supporters to me. I'm sorry, I've not been brought up that way. You know, hail, rain or shine, you know, if you've got to go in the team, but you know, a supporters bus for an hour and a half or 2 hours, that's part of the expression of the game. Now, you know, I keep looking at it and I think to myself, YouTube. Anyone that wants, who can watch a game on YouTube and probably on their phone as well?
Yes,
right?
they can.
Majority of people watch it on their phone. That's not an experience.
No.
That's certainly not an experience. And anyone that says, I watched it on YouTube. Well, really? But the clubs don't need you to watch it on YouTube. Watch the highlights later on. You know, whatever you want to do. But follow your club. Support your club. Engage in the day. You know, meet your mates there. That's the whole thing. I mean, if you go certainly in the UK, you know, it's a whole day. You know, meet at the pub, maybe get lunch, go to the ground. You know, then you meet early. You could be in the hospitality sections or whatever. It just creates a whole. And to be honest, for a lot of people, it's the highlight of the week. That's what they're waiting on. They're waiting on that Saturday. I mean, you mentioned it earlier on. For me, our game should be played winter.
Yes. February
to September, Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. It always worked in the old NSL. We had lights, in fairness, but it was like, and we had midweek games, but 3 p.m. on a Sunday, everyone knew it was 3 p.m. You never really had to, you know, advertise because they knew they got the fixture list, home and away, and everyone's got an excuse. I never knew when the game was. They moved it. It's 7:30 tonight. It's 6 o'clock. You know, all these excuses. 3 o'clock Sunday.
Yes.
Come, please.
Now, this
for me.
Yeah, and Wadey, now everyone here right now, you're listening to me and Kenny as well, and Wadey. Let me just say one thing about this. The weather changes this week in Melbourne. It changes, and just remember this. We started the NPL during the summertime just about, and some beautiful days, and we could wear shorts and T-shirts at these games and whatever. But now comes the big test where the clubs need your support all year round, and this is the point I'd like to make. And if you're saying it's too cold, I'm not going to watch it on YouTube. Well, you've got to understand the club, what it means for the supporters to be there, what it means for them to sell alcohol, to sell something, to get some money for the club. That is the point I make tonight. It's like we know that we've had good weather. Now it's starting. Now the real weather starts in Melbourne. And I'd like to see people, and of course, Wadey, this affects the clubs big time because it's cold, we're not turning up. I mean, last week you saw the game. It was very nice. The weather was reasonable. It wasn't too cold at Brunswick City, but they had people there. But as I have been going the last few years there, and of course last year, and I said to myself, God, it's getting colder. People aren't turning up, and the other games also. That's not supporting your club, is it? You go and support your club, wet, dry, snow, disaster, whatever it is. You turn up. Is that right?
Yeah. No, it's a sad fact of life. No matter what sport, it doesn't matter whether it's football or not. People, we don't like discomfort, do we? We want to avoid discomfort at every corner. And if that means staying warm and not getting wet because we're watching a football match, then we won't go. And we won't bother taking an umbrella. We just won't go because we can not go. So I don't think it's football. I think that's life, and it's sad that we haven't got that passion about something anymore. I don't know what we do. How do we get those kids who are under 12s to start believing that it's their football club, that their mates are going on the weekend and they want to be a part of it and make all the noise, not wait for some 19-year-old idiot with a flair to change everything for them. Yeah.
So, Kenny, this is what we speak about. And this is the time when the club should be making more money. And this is where the support is needed even more during the winter because people don't want to go. But if you're a supporter of a club, you turn up. Is that right?
Well, for me, I mean, look, the biggest league in the world is the Premier League.
Yes.
They still, nearly every club sells a song and still all the games are live. So it hasn't taken away the appetite to go and experience the live occasion. The add-on is live. For example, Man United, 72, 75,000. They could probably sell 100,000 if they had the seats.
They're getting a bigger stadium too.
Yeah. I mean, probably one of the few clubs that don't sell it is probably Man City. I think they 46, 47,000 that holds 52. But most of the other clubs are pretty much sellers. So they don't have a problem getting the grounds full, and they certainly don't have a problem from an entertainment factor. We've just got to try and replicate that somehow over here. As I've always said, I find, one of the downsides of de-ethnitising the league, the A-League, I think that passion, that supporter passion, not for everyone, I'm not tarring everyone in the same brush, but predominantly, it's not the same. It's not the same. They'll go to the home games. We're locked into the home games, but I ain't going to, Newcastle. I ain't going to Macarthur. I mean, even Macarthur are getting 1,500, 2,000 if you're lucky. They're playing against Sydney FC, who in the top 3 of top 4, and the crowd only jumps to 3,500, 4,000. How's that look? Where's the other 10 or 11,000 gone? It's not that far. It's not the freeway. Boom. It's not that far.
And this is where you made a point there too when we started the A-League, of course. It was packed crowds, 50,000 at Marvel Stadium or whatever it was there. I mean, Kenny, we know when it started. The thing is, we can't keep the momentum going. We just can't. You can't find some way,
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue, a little bit of the issue is that we've diluted the offer. We had Del Pieros and we had Yorks and, we had some pretty cracking marquees. I think in the last 5 years, I think that's diluted dramatically. I mean, and I'm a Joe Lawley at Sydney FC. I'm a great admirer of his.
He's brilliant.
Effort.
Brilliant.
But he's the marquee, yes. or him in the Spanish South American lad. They're the two marquees. But they're really journeymen working, and they're they work hard, and but they're no Del Piero, they're no Cruz White Yorks, they're no none of that type of player. And unfortunately, I think that's part of the reason that the crowds have subsided a bit. Plus the issue with some of the clubs themselves, they're sort of self-destructing internally.
Yes.
And it's like anything, the novelty wears off after a while. One I've always said, not enough teams, not enough variety. Unless you get to 16 teams, you can't be, when we had it at 8 teams and 10 teams, it wasn't enough.
No.
It wasn't enough. We don't play enough games. Joe Spiteri was talking, which was very impressive, about his academies, and his kids' teams play over 50 games a year. That's what they should be playing. That's what Wadey played and I played. I was playing Saturday morning for the school, Saturday afternoon for my boys' club, and Sunday morning for the boys' brigade. 45 weeks, 47 weeks of the year. We had 5 or 6 weeks off. We had first week in June till probably the end of July. And then you're back into it first week August again. We've got our NPL finishes end August and starts Easter. It's nearly 6 months.
No.
Break. Players can't develop. They can't get better. There's nothing. You can train as much as you like.
No.
There's nothing to substitute match games, playing in a game.
Well,
because you could. I mean, Wadey will tell you, we know lots of guys in training that are fantastic players, and then you stick them into an actual match environment, and you go, "Oh, he's not as good as I thought he was." It's a different thing, completely different thing. Terry Greedy at St George, goalkeeper. When I was there, we won the league in '83. Yeah, I never saw him dive once at training. Never saw him dive once, Terry. But then put him into a game, different story. And yet Mike Fraser, who was the backup at training, he looked unbeatable. But Terry Greedy in the match, wow. So, there's all these different equations that happen in a game. But that's what makes a game what it is.
That's what
greatest game in the world.
Besart Berisha, when he came over here, he also said, "Really? 6 months? Really?" He couldn't believe it. He came over here. He said, "What? This is like a holiday here." He was saying it. So I couldn't believe it. They're playing 60, 70 games a year in Europe. I mean, this is unbelievable. So many different competitions that you're playing in. What are we playing? We're playing the Australia Cup, the A-League. I mean, that's basically, and the Asian Champions League if you qualify, but we're not really doing quite well anyway there. But, Wadey, one thing I'll ask you is, do you think that getting back to the other way, saying how can we get more people at the games, I think they've actually oversaturated the games with YouTube. I think they have. Okay, the light's fine, whatever the lights we can keep there. But they've oversaturated every game. Every game is there. Every game of football Victoria, and NPL Victoria is there. I think there's too many. And we said a few weeks ago saying that should only be one game. The blockbuster should be on and don't play the rest of them or don't stream them. That's ridiculous. I mean, I think there's just too many games.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think to myself, well, you know what? If it's not on YouTube, I'm not going to go anyway. The only way you're going to get me, because I've no fear of missing out, is by somebody saying, "Oh, by the way, South Melbourne are playing Heidelberg on YouTube this afternoon. Do you want to watch?" And I might watch. Otherwise, I'd have no idea. So it's really catch-22. What do we do? I mean, I tried to watch. Well, I did watch the Matildas, and the only place I could get it on was Paramount Plus. Now, I'd cancelled my subscription, but then I quickly remembered, I've got another 5 days till it actually stops. Do you know what I mean? I cancelled it early. And it was only because of that I remembered that, yes, I can watch it. I don't have to go borrowing and stealing somebody else's mobile or whatever to watch the game. And I thought to myself, that is wrong. That is so wrong that I've got to pay money to watch the Matildas play. An absolute disgrace.
And you're talking the Socceroos too.
Yeah, the interesting thing when you talk about Matildas, that's the biggest accident in the history of football in this country. I mean, since Alan Stadge got the sack, the last decent game that me and John Stoddart were huge supporters of them in back in the days. I remember going to Penrith and watched them beat Brazil, who were 4 or 5 in the world, and we were sitting 4 or 5 in the world. Then we won't go into it, but for whatever reason, Stadge got no sacked, but whatever you want to call it. But for whatever reason, they've captured the Australian public. I go to because my grandkids and my daughters, they love it. And I was at the game last week, 2 weeks ago. It was like watching paint dry. It was horrendously boring, right? But my grandkids loved it, and my daughters loved it, because unfortunately for them, they've not experienced what real football is that I've seen through my life. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at them and I'm watching them. And my 8-year-old grandson said to me, "Pop, why is Mary Fowler on the bench?" He's 8. He is 8 years old.
Understand?
Why is Mary Fowler on the bench? He knows that she's an important cog in the wheel, and he's only 8. How has this happened? I've got no idea, because there's obviously been heaps of bad publicity. They certainly haven't played well in a long, long time. We only qualified for the World Cup because we were the hosts. So we haven't really qualified for anything in the last 4 or 5 years.
Exactly. By
winning games. And certainly, we're sitting, I don't know, what we 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th in the world now. Mm-hmm. We've lost Mary Fowler. We've obviously lost Sam Kerr. And no disrespect to the girls, we've got a couple in there, but the rest of them are just journey women or journey men, journey whatever we want to call them. If you're woke, I don't care. And they give it their best, but we're certainly not anywhere near the top 10 in the world. But the Australian public loves them. Now, they'll sell out. I mean, what was ironic? We had a World Cup game at Allianz the week before. Never sold out. 37,000. Matildas play a friendly at the same venue a week later, a friendly against Korea, and get 46,000. Explain to me that.
Well, I reckon it's partly, again, it's this fear of missing out that I saw a photograph when we won on a penalty shootout to get us into the semi-final. There was that moment where the ball hits the back of the net and all the girls take off from the halfway line. And I remember looking at, and I thought to myself, who did these girls play for? Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Tottenham, and it just kept going and going and going. And that's why people want to go, because they can play football at the highest level and they can do it better than most people all of the time. And the other thing is that fear of missing out. Mm. And if you ever went to one of the games at the World Cup, and even if you didn't, the atmosphere there was just amazing. And why? It's because it wasn't about a battle. It was about a celebration of two very good countries playing football, having a go at each other. Like the music at halftime, for example, it was a party. The music before the game was a party. It was more than just, hey, we've got to beat Brazil on over 90 minutes. No, we're here to celebrate football. And I know the diehards will go, well, that's not why we go to the football. But guess what? Maybe for some people it is. For the majority of people, it is. We've got to create something that people don't want to miss out on. And we haven't found that way of doing it outside of the Matildas.
And this is where we can't transfer it to our local game.
The big question is, why is the Matildas outdrawing the Socceroos? Because the Socceroos, in fairness, we've qualified for every World Cup since 2005. So we can't complain about that, right? Yep. Sure, we get there and we're punching above our weight, and we get that. But the fact is, we've still qualified, right? Regardless of how we want to throw and move the goalposts, we've got there. We've got a situation where certainly on a performance base, if you analyse the last 3 or 4 years, the Matildas' results, they're awful. They're absolutely awful.
It is.
The only reason we progressed in the World Cup was the team they played. If you remember, Canada, we nearly went on strike the day before.
Yep.
Because they weren't getting paid.
Money.
Then we played them after they'd sorted it out, like 12 months later, and they smashed us. It's just like, somebody's waving a magic wand. But again, what Wadey was saying, they've captured the imagination of families. It's families. I mean, I like 2 weeks ago when we went, I'm looking around, and it's not 1 or 2 people are sitting there. It's father, mother, 3 kids. I mean, I was there with my 2 daughters and 2 grandkids, 5 of us, right? And that seems to be right through the whole stadium. You probably don't get that in the male-dominated, Socceroos.
No.
You don't get that as much. It's more, sure, the men will take their kids and the odd wife will go, girlfriend, whatever. But it's not as predominant.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But I don't believe they've done it. I don't believe it's happened deliberately. I believe it's accidental. That they've fought. Sometimes you have a path in life, and the Matilda's path is just grown to, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's certainly a success story with the I suppose the justification of how well they're playing or how well they've done, because they certainly in the last 3 or 4 years on the pitch, you would if you were analysing it truly. I mean, Paul was probably at the game. Did you go to the Newcastle one, Paul? Yeah. I think the Newcastle game was a bit better, but the Sydney one, I've never seen so many. I mean, and I'm the biggest critic for football in general, sideways and backwards, back to the goalkeeper. I hate it.
Uh-huh.
I absolutely hate it with a vengeance. And it's anti-football for me. I've never seen so many sideways and backwards passes by 2 teams in a long time.
Okay, now.
Well, can I just say then, very quickly, Harry,
yes.
that Kenny, totally understand where you're coming from, but you've based all your successes and failures on results. Whereas I think that's the difference with women's football. We and the general community just want to say thanks to Mary Fowler and Hayley Razzo and all these girls who are doing us proud on the world stage. I never, in all the time I went to the World Cup games, got anyone shout, "You're a..."
No.
Nobody. Mary Fowler gave the ball away. I remember I was right in the corner and Mary Fowler gave the ball away and everybody around her said, "Don't worry, Mary, get the next one." And I thought, that's the difference. It's not all about the winning. It's important, but it's not all about the winning.
Performance.
It's about the fact that you are representing us.
Exactly.
Thank you, girls.
That's it. Now.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time. Do you have what it takes to become a soccer superstar? Look no further than Socceroo Academy. Led by experienced coaches, including a former Socceroo, the Academy provides world-class training to help you reach your full potential. From technical skills to tactical awareness, they'll help you develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed at the highest level. Socceroo Academy, where champions are made.
Are you looking for the perfect kit for your football club? Try Aerosport today. From jerseys to shorts to socks, Aerosport will have you completely covered. We can even cover your merchandising line, including hats, beanies, scarves, jumpers, and so much more. So if you're looking for excellent lead times, great pricing, and even better quality, try Aerosport today by looking at our website at aerosport.com.au. And even better quality, try Aerosport today by looking at our website at aerosport.com.au.
Looking for a haven to unwind and indulge? Look no further than Brista Cafe, nestled in the heart of Derrimut Village Shopping Centre. From decadent homemade gourmet cookies to scrumptious muffins, every bite is a delight. Everyone loves Brista Cafe, and you will too. So why wait? Visit Brista Cafe today and taste the difference for yourself.
Hi guys, Harry Sundai here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called ThereIsOnlyOneFootball.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time.
I want to go back and talk about, we've got so many issues tonight. Wait till I get you the last issue. Oh boy. But the thing about this is nobody knows the Australia Cup is on. No one knows the Australia Cup is on. Can I just say, I'll get to Kenny first about this. Kenny, when the Australia Cup started, we're talking about the Football Federation Cup, FFA Cup it was called, when it started 10 years ago, whatever. They were coming, they were watching the games, everything was happening. They're not going. Nobody is going. They used to charge at the door. Now they don't charge at the door. Trying to get people and they're not charging at the door. Kenny, I don't understand this. We start at a level high, the same as the A-League, and we drop. And I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this to anybody out there, right? But I don't want to say that the Australia or the FFA Cup or FA Cup and the Australia Cup, it's dead. Something has to happen. Kenny, is it dead?
Well, look, I think we have trouble identifying what it actually really is.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think the A-League teams take it that seriously, and it's actually mirrored my favourite cup competition in the world, which was the FA Cup,
yes,
which Man United ruined the year that they went and played in the World Club Championships and pulled out, and the FA Cup's never been the same since. And it was a highlight of the season for most people. End of season, Wembley, walking down that tunnel. It's never regained the gloss that it was pre that Man United pull-out. They were allowed to pull out the competition, which was a joke. Purely a finance thing. But going back to, I just think that they have an identity problem. They have an issue trying to get the A-League teams to take it seriously. The cost to travel. Half the clubs are practically broke anyway, and are they really interested in it? Probably not. I think Sydney Olympics playing Arncliffe, I think, tomorrow night.
Gee.
And they're advertising it, but I don't. I don't know whether they've embedded something that, like what Wade was saying about the Matildas. We haven't created, and this is my big argument, which we had months ago, about everyone's up in arms about the grand final getting, Sydney paid for the grand final and got it. Why should it be, why should Sydney get it? Why? Well, let me ask you a question. Every major cup final around the world has got an iconic stadium. Regardless of which teams are playing in it, they'll play at Hampden, they'll play at Wembley, they'll play at San Siro, they'll play at Bernabeu. All these stadiums, regardless of whether it's a Madrid team or whether it's Valencia, the two teams that actually make the final play there. Now, we've got two major cities, Sydney and Melbourne, where just like rugby league, grand final, regardless whether it's Brisbane,
Sydney.
Melbourne, they come and play in Sydney. The AFL, it's always Melbourne, right? We then start arguing, saying, no, we should wait to see who wins it and give them home advantage. Really? Really? Give them home advantage? Why? Create a fantasy. Create a weekend that people like with the AFL. They travel from Sydney to Melbourne for 2 or 3 days. Rugby league, sell it. They come from Brisbane, Adelaide. They come from everywhere. But we don't seem to want to do that. Again, fair weather supporters, lazy. They don't want to. Oh,
exactly.
Well, if we're in Perth or Melbourne, why should we come to Sydney?
But hang on, Kenny. We had, and Wadey knows this. We had the jewel in the crown in Melbourne. It could have been the Australian home ground. You know what I'm talking about. You know which ground I'm talking about. Olympic Park, mate. That was the jewel in the crown of the game, and they lost it. And here we go with Amy Park and all this Amy Park and whatever. But Wadey, you played internationals there as well, and that was the home of the game in Australia at one stage, and we lost it. What do you think of that? Was I right?
Yeah, it was a very special place. There's no doubt about that. Partly because most of the ground, 99% of it, had grass on, and the grass was smooth. There was Hindmarsh Stadium, it was an absolute picture, and there was Olympic Park in Melbourne. I'm sure Sydney siders will come up with something else, but
mate, the only one in Sydney that had decent grass really was St George Stadium. Park.
Yeah,
that was the only one, and that was thanks to the little Hungarian groundsman there. He was brilliant, but the rest of the grounds, you're right. I mean, we played in paddocks. I mean, Preston's pitch was horrendous. I mean, some of the pitches that we played in, and I think back, cricket wickets in the middle, and I think, so what? Lambert Park. We had Pratton Park. Well, we were obviously the Gypsies. We had the original football stadium when I arrived, 77, which was brilliant, right? The original football stadium, right? And then we moved from there to Wentworth Park, which was still really good. Then we had a short spell at Erskine Oval, which was an Aussie rules ground, which was horrendous. We then found St George Stadium, and that was the best period because we had that for about 8 or 9 months. Shared it with St George. Great, fantastic. Then we ended up at Pratton Park. Now, the atmosphere was great there, but I had a big bloody cricket wicket through the middle. For a defender like me, if you let the ball bounce, and you're playing against Kuzmina and Mitchell and Farina, you were dead. You were dead. If you never got a broken nose, you were really lucky.
Kuzmina. I understand what you're saying. Let me just say, I believe the Australia Cup needs a lot of work. A lot of work here. I mean, we're not going to see people at the games, full stop. I just can't believe it. They're going to be empty in Victoria. But what they're doing in Victoria is they're classing those games as part of the Doherty Cup as well, the Doherty Cup. So when they're playing in that, they're classing it as those games as Australia Cup and Doherty Cup as well. That gives it an opportunity for the Victorian clubs to win something here. But you don't get paid much for that either. You know that, Wadey. I tell you, now, I want to go here right now, and I feel very sorry for the guy. Wadey, he was your captain. You know him very well. Ange Postecoglou, I tell you what, mate, I've never seen him in the way he's been, his emotions are just, how's this going to affect him if all of a sudden he leaves, he's gone from, how's his value going to be after leaving Tottenham? That's what I'd like to know. How's he going to get back into the game?
Tell you what, I'd take him tomorrow. That doesn't matter what happens. The fact that he can score, his teams can score as many goals as the team leading the Premier League, that he creates such joy for 99% of the time and then gets beat by a stupid mistake at the back in the middle. Mate, I tell you what, I don't know how he does it, because against Frankfurt, everyone's singing his praises. He's the best thing since sliced bread. Whoa, he's the Messiah. And they get beat by Nottingham Forest.
3 days after.
Third.
Jesus.
Yeah, third in the league. Like, it's not as if they're playing against Luton or anybody like that. And on paper, in league positions, of course that they're going to win. And of course, Ange is going to make sure the focus is on the Europa League. So, but all of a sudden they come out and start with their knives again.
Yeah, I know.
And they are the most petty fans I have ever had the misfortune of talking to. They are unbelievably pessimistic. No matter what happens, they'll always find something to whinge about.
The same guy. Hang on, Kenny. The same guy. We love you, Ange. We love you. 3 days after, I want to kill you, Kenny. I mean, that's
in fairness, guys, he's got 3 years left of his contract. I don't believe he'll finish the season, but he'll be gone. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But he goes with 15 million. Here's my tip: he gets the Greece national team job. That's my tip. He'll take the Greece national job. The pressure he's under is horrendous. But in fairness, he's lost 18 games already. That's a very, very poor record. I mean, and I'm a fan, but when you're playing in the elite competition, and I agree with what he said, Arsenal fans, Newcastle fans, and predominantly Tottenham fans are the most fickle, quick turning. I mean, they were turning on, the Arsenal fans were turning on Arteta 3 or 4 weeks ago because they've not won the league. I mean, really? Yeah, seriously? They're going to run second in the league, and I think they'll win the Champions League. I think they'll give it a real shake. But unfortunately, I think it's a bridge too far now for Ange. I think, the media has written them off completely. And the fans have written them off completely. And even if he, and I don't think he'll win the Europa, but I hope he does, but I don't think he will. But even if he wins it, I think the lad that was there before that left when they got the final of the Champions,
Pochettino.
Yeah, I think Pochettino will get the gig back. And that's my gut feeling.
And then do you think he cares though, Kenny? Really? No. Do you think he really cares? I mean, he cares about his job. He cares about the players. He cares about what they're doing. But do you think he really cares about the media or what the fans think? He does not lose any sleep because he knows exactly what he wants, whether he gets it or not. He loves the challenge of fixing things. He doesn't care what anybody says. And I love that about him. I think every coach, every manager in this country, in AFL, rugby league, rugby union, should just watch his press conferences and just see the way he handles all that noise, because that's all it is. It's noise. He just wipes his hands of it over and over again because he believes in what he's doing.
The problem we've got is it's a shame. It's a shame because he's got a full backroom staff of Aussie boys there.
Absolutely,
that's right.
And it's a reflection. It's a reflection on our game. And unfortunately, what he has done, he has reacted to fans, not at the press conferences, but walking in after the games,
down the race.
But he's lying fifth bottom in the English Premier League. I mean, he's got 38 points. He's lucky that the bottom three are so poor. Because he could have been under extreme duress. He could have been in a relegation battle if Ipswich had got a bit of momentum going. These three are gone now, so they're safe. They're safe. And even Man United's the same. I mean, he's another one that could be under duress. But go back to what you were saying about Ange. I agree with you. I think he'll come and he's philosophical and he'll go, I gave him my best shot. It hasn't worked out.
Yes.
But I think the Greek national job would come calling for sure. I think it's a thing he would probably look at. It's just a shame that he never got another year, and got into a better. Unfortunately, I mean, going back to what Wadey says, the Tottenham fans, they haven't won anything since 2008. For God's sake,
and they keep changing
they
coaches.
Haven't won a thing. Right?
Keep changing coaches.
And the last time they won something before that was when my first daughter was born in 1981 when they won the FA Cup. And so, they can't exactly be, I mean, they found Lord Lucan in the trophy room. I mean, that's how long ago it was since they went in there. So, it's a tough gig. But Pochettino should never have got. I mean, when Pochettino was there, and in the January window, he asked for money to buy 2 players, and he got knocked back, and they got beat in the final of the Champions League. And he had enough. He said, we could have won this. We could have won the league. They ran second in the league, and they got the final of the Champions League. And he went, you know what? There's no support here from the finance side.
That's right.
Or get me what I want. And if I don't do it, sack me, by all means. But don't sack me when you're not delivering what I want.
I want to get it.
What about the players, though, Kenny, when it comes to the reaction after they beat Frankfurt and to see all the coaching staff? And I know there were two Aussies there, Mile Jedinak and Monty, but the players jumping on each other, like they won the World Cup. Number one, they've just got to the semi-final. It was just an amazing, we believe together. And I think that is so important. You can get another manager, but what? Does that solve the problem? No. I don't care what reputation.
No way.
At all. He's got something very special.
Man United sums it all perfectly. They've gone through 6 since Ferguson.
Oh, my God.
6. And they're lying 5th or 6th bottom. I mean, so they're probably in a worse scenario than Tottenham because they need a total clean out and they need to be buying world-class players and they've got no money potentially at the moment because they're going to be building a new Old Trafford.
Yes.
But I just look at the environment there and it's toxic. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look, I watch Talk Sport and I hear it and they're on about it. 18 defeats. 18 defeats. It can't be allowed to continue. Should he stay for the Europa if they get to the final? And they were talking today, if he wins it, would he keep his job? Ali McCoy said yes. The rest of the panel said no. So it's interesting, even if he brings them a bit of success, how important the Premier League is. Exactly. That's the yardstick.
I just want to change right now. We'll go a couple of minutes over time, not too much. But let me just say, I had another parent today, Kenny, and I was really disgusted. I can't do anything. I cannot do anything to anyone. Or everybody who rings me, parents ring me, say, Harry, they find my number, or somebody gives a number, whatever it goes on. Mate, honestly, $3,500. $3,500 a parent paid. $3,500. The kid's not getting game, not getting any time. $3,500. Honestly. Which club? I can't mention clubs or people. Please, if you think that you can't afford it, don't pay it. Go to a club where the kid will get a game. Kenny, it's an absolute disaster. $3,500.
The parents are to blame because, and the majority of these kids, no disrespect,
mate, this is
but the majority of these kids are not good enough, and the father's trying to live through the son or the daughter, and I mean, there's exceptions to the rule. But predominantly, they're getting sold a story. I can make your son, a professional football player. Well, Wadey knows, and I know. I look at our kids. You can tell whether our kids are good enough. You know. You don't need some other idiot to tell you, oh, I can make him a better player, or I can take him to a level that'll. That's why I laugh. On YouTube, I see all these on Facebook.
Yeah.
These clinics have come, a guy, he comes on and he's about 22 and he said, we've just sent 5 players, overseas for contracts. Jesus. Yeah, they've sent them to Nigeria, Bangladesh, the back end of Zagreb somewhere. Really? And the guy's that young. I said, well, if you're any good, you'd be playing professional yourself. I just shake my head. We've created a monster. We've created an income stream and don't get me wrong, there's lots of good ones, but we've created a monstrous income stream for people with no ability to sap enormous amount of money out of our game.
Wadey, are we pricing families out of the game? Are we pricing them out of the game? Even though they're giving an opportunity, the parents, we'll give you a go. There's the money, $3,500. I mean, I've heard also next year, 4.5. Are we pricing every kid out of the game?
Wow, that is ridiculous. Look,
it's true.
You know what? I think somebody's got a question to answer. Who is it that's charged them? What has happened to that money? I know that Football New South Wales, when I worked with them, not for them, were making sure that all these all these young kids who are paying $1,500 to be part of SAP Skills Acquisition Program. The money was going in the right direction because early it was going straight to the first team, the Premier League first team. You are kidding me. And I found out, Harry, we were at that game, Brunswick City, and you were telling me, or someone was telling me, how much these players earn. And I thought, you are kidding me. They're playing, not the Brunswick City players on that night, but generally in the NPL, how much they earn.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, you are kidding me.
Unbelievable.
They're earning that much money and 200 people are turning up to watch them. How can they justify that?
That's what I said.
Oh, we've got a kid who's got a bag full of potential but can't afford it, but can't get a game. You are kidding. That's just so wrong.
It's too much. It's too much. Now, guys, we can't keep talking. I keep bringing it up, but something's got to happen eventually. Somebody's got to do something. This week, Football Victoria or NPL Victoria are playing all their games except for one game. Apparently, on Friday, we're talking Anzac Day, 6 games. 6 games. What an experiment that is to see how many people turn up. And, of course, Altona Magic versus Altona Magic. Guess who's coaching those guys? One of your former friends that played for South Melbourne, of course. Now I can't remember the name. There you go. I remember. And, of course, Altona Magic, and, of course, they're playing at 5:30 p.m. Friday with Oakley Cannons. And, of course, Green Gully versus South Melbourne, Hellas, of course, at 7:30 p.m. at Green Gully, at your favourite ground that you started, Green Gully. Heidelberg United versus Avondale FC, they're the top guys at the moment. Of course, 7:30 p.m. Friday. Dandenong City versus Port Melbourne at Dandenong City. Then we've also got the game here, Preston Lions versus St Albans. That'd be the game of the round because there's the kid at St Albans. He is dynamite. He won't be here for long. Hume City versus the Knights, Melbourne Knights, and of course on this is Monday night. This is called a high-risk game at the home of I love going to the home Matildas. I love sitting in that beautiful stand. Melbourne Victory versus Dandenong Thunder at 8 p.m. Monday. Kenny, last week...
Well, Harry,
go on.
Harry, don't panic about you forgetting things, because the great thing about Alzheimer's is you forget you've got it.
I know, that's the other thing too. Goran Lozanovsky. Loza is the coach.
It, mate. You've got it.
He warned me. He warned me. Then Goran Lozanovsky. Loza's the coach of Altona Magic. There you go. So there you go. We sent him some Cheerios. He should have been there last week. He said he was going to turn up. He didn't turn up. I'm going to get you for that. I'm going to get you for that, Loza. Don't worry. But let me just say, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I think Kenny's got his, of course, Kenny's. And by the way, on Monday night, I should be at the game at Melbourne Victory. That's probably the best place to go and see a game. Have you, Kenny, we're going to do the Football List show at Football Victoria very shortly next year sometime. Hopefully we can do it there. And Wadey, we might get you there too. What a place that is. What a place that is. The stand is beautiful. It looks like you're in some kind of international stadium or something. That's what it looks like when you're in that stand. So,
Harry, you don't need us there, because if you invest in one of these AI companies,
here we go.
You can AI Wadey, and you can AI me, and you can take it anywhere.
Exactly.
You don't have to take it.
I know.
It's
easier. It's much easier to think about that. So that's the thing, guys. But anyway, thank you for joining us, Kenny. And thank you, Wadey, for all that work last week. You, Kenny, coming to Melbourne. Thank you, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Of
Pleasure.
course, Football List will be live again next Tuesday, of course, with our mentor, Mr. Carlos Bielli, who's missing, Kenny. There you go. Thanks, boys, for joining us tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you, guys.
See you, Wadey.
boys.
Easy. Bye.
You've been watching Football List tonight, live from the studios of Football List, South Bank, Victoria, Melbourne, Victoria. That is, guys. Thank you for joining us, Wadey. Thank you. Thanks, guys. I'm in stereo now. There you go. You see me both ways in stereo. Thanks, guys. Good night, everybody. Thank you. A lot of issues tonight we covered tonight, guys. Let us know next week if you've got something else to talk to us about as well. Hup, come on. Thanks, guys. Hup, check it out. Hey. Feel it. Hup. Good night, guys. Thank you for joining us. Here we go. Hup. Here we go. Yes. Hey. The cup of life. This is the one. Now is the time. Don't ever stop. We should have known. Gotta be strong. We should have known right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet. No one can hold you back. If you really want it, they're going to get it. I see it in your eyes. You want the cup of life. Night the days, yeah, you're going to get it. Good night, guys. Thank you for joining us. See you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Thank